Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So I am pretty excited for this single shadow Saturday because I went ahead and went through my entire single shadow collection and I decided to pull all of my favorite purples together. So here is what my little favorite purple shadow palette looks like. I've requested to do more videos like this after I did my favorite yellow shadows. So this also has a little bit of a special meaning because purple is the color for domestic violence awareness and October is the domestic violence awareness month. So if you're newer to my channel and you're not really familiar with me, or you just haven't seen the video that I did, because I've talked about it briefly in the past, but not a bunch because obviously it's a little bit of a hard topic to talk about, but I married really young and I wound up in a domestically violent and emotionally abusive relationship. I had a child at 19, so it was a scary situation to get out of, and I feel like when you are in that, you feel so alone. You feel like you're the only person in the world who's going through it. I know for me, I felt so much shame for getting in this situation in the first place, for getting married when I shouldn't have. When I feel like there's a lot of shame from becoming a victim because we all have this mentality like, that would never be me. I would never end up in that situation. I would never allow someone to treat me that way. And sometimes we're led along and we don't see the red flags, or it's a really difficult situation to be in. And I want to take this opportunity to talk about it because I think that breaking the stigma and being vocal and sharing your story is so important because, again, it ends that mentality that we're alone and that no one else has gone through this, because when you see other people get out of it, I feel like it gives you courage. So if there's anyone out there watching this right now and you are in a situation and you're being treated a way that you should not be and you know it, I promise you, you are so strong and you can get out of it. I wanted to dedicate this video to just domestic violence awareness, and I was watching a video recently where Jen Loves Reviews was interviewing Marlene Estelle, and they were talking about a women's shelter in Houston, and I went ahead and looked it up. So it's the Houston Area Women's Center, and they do a lot of things to help women and families and teens who have been abused. All of the AdSense from today's video, from this video, is going to be donated directly to Hawk. They make it super easy on their website. I also will make sure to link it down below. I'm going to link some different resources for anyone who wants to learn more about domestic violence, who wants to learn how to get out. I'm going to link the domestic violence call hotline. I don't even know what the actual term of that is, but it's going to be there. And then also the donation page to Hawk if you also are interested. This is a cause that's very near and dear to my heart, so that's why I'm doing the purples. And even though like something as simple as just talking about the color purple can feel a little bit superficial, I feel like something like this gives me the opportunity to speak on something deeper than just purple eyeshadows. I would really encourage you guys, I mean, you can comment down below about the shadows and the makeup, and of course, like, I would love to read that. But if you yourself have a story, or you know someone and you have been affected by domestically violent relationships or just abusive relationships in general, because mental abuse is real and lasting and damaging, so don't feel like you're any less valid if you were never physically abused. I would love to read your stories, and I think it kind of promotes that we're not alone. I do have a video on my channel talking about my story, how I was able to leave an abusive marriage, and I don't even know what I say in that video. I don't have the heart to go back and watch it, but if you would like to hear my rambling and hear a little bit more about my backstory and what shaped me to be the very strong, independent woman that I am becoming now, then please feel free to watch that. Even though I'm smiling because that's the way that I cope, my heart does feel a little heavy talking about this topic just because it is a hard thing to talk about and to post publicly on the internet. But let's go ahead and jump on into talking about some purple shadows. That's a little easier. Do you like how I tried my absolute best to take shadows that are not all the same size and still somewhat make like a coordinating symmetric palette? Because I tried my hardest and I'm just waiting for all these other random pan sizes and pan shapes to be illegal so that we can just have 26mm circles only. If anyone else wants to start a petition for that, let me know. We can make it happen. So here is what the palette looks like up close. So many duochromes. Okay, so the first shade that I have here is Pretty Little Lilac from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. This is such a beautiful just soft, incredibly foiled lavendery lilac shade. I mean, I barely even touch it and it is so foiled. I really do like the Give Me Glow foiled formula. I'm still I feel like I need to test their mattes more and see how I feel because I've had a little hit and miss, but their foiled shadows I really like. Like, look at that. So intense, so pigmented, so buttery smooth, and a really beautiful kind of mid-tone purpley shade. Okay, next is N-Sane from JD Glow Cosmetics. If you have not tried their Galaxy formula, honestly, you are truly missing out. They are phenomenal, superb, glittery, perfect, like, honestly, like, really, like, up there type shadows. Like, I would compare this, like, I would say, like, from what I've swatched in store, I would say that their Galaxy shadows are better than Pat McGrath. Please don't come for me, but I like this formula even more, and it's so special and sparkly and duochrome, and they just have a really beautiful foiled Galaxy formula. It's my favorite. So this shade has a purple base and then it has a blue shift to it. That's what I have all over my lid today, and it is just absolutely stunning. I do have a full video reviewing everything I've ever tried from JD Glow Cosmetics in case you're curious to see the rest of their Galaxy shadows, but they are really intense, amazing shades. So there is N-Sane. So next from Terra Cosmetics, I have Take Me to Terra, which they do have this available in a smaller shadow size now. I just bought this when they first launched and they only had big shadows. So this is a really beautiful purple blue duochrome, but it's more of just a satin. It's not like a super metallic shade, but it is very smooth. And I think it catches the light really pretty. Like, look at that. I mean, I guess I would call it a metallic. It's just that it's like a very satiny metallic. It does not have any glitter, any texture, any like extra sparkles. It's just a really beautiful shift. Look at that. Even after I swatched it, it is so intense. Okay, next from JD Glow Cosmetics is the shade Plum, and this is a really beautiful shade. It says it's the Galaxy collection, and I would agree that it is more intense, but it's not quite as sparkly as some of the other shades. However, it has like this really beautiful lavender base, and it has gold like specks throughout it, and then it also has a very golden shift. So it is a really beautiful color. So there's what it looks like. It's definitely not what I think of when I hear the word plum. But look at that. Really beautiful. Okay, next I have Looxi Walk of Shame, which is what I have on my inner corner today. This is a really beautiful white to purple shift. It's kind of a purpley pink shift, but I feel like it will blend with whatever you have around it. So if you have more of a pink look, it'll pull more pink. But today I feel like it pulled very purple, surrounded by a monochromatic purple look. And it's just a really beautiful shade. This might be in their vault, you can see, which means that it's kind of limited edition, but every once in a while they'll bring it back. Okay, next from Makeup Geek is the shade Daydreamer, and this is just such a beautiful shadow. I feel like the aesthetic all around, just like the very soft purple foiled look, and even the name Daydreamer, like I feel like this shadow is me in a shadow. I really like it. So it's more of just a foiled shade. Again, it doesn't have like more texture or glitters or sparkles or anything, but it is really nice. I'm kind of rubbing in a little bit because I've had this shadow for a while and I'm just making sure that I've got enough to show you what it really looks like. So there is Daydreamer. Okay, so next from Looxi Beauty, I have the shade Purple Haze, and this is a pretty similar color. It's also a really beautiful light purple foiled shade. I feel like the Looxi one feels just a touch more powdery than the Makeup Geek one, but that could be good for you because I've heard that Makeup Geek foiled shadows don't really last that well for oily lids. So if you wanted a shade like Daydreamer, you could definitely try out Purple Haze from Looxi. And maybe the formula would work a little bit better. No. Don't mind me, just broke my favorite shade. Okay, so I just totally broke one of my favorite single shadows ever. Here's my little sad Kazookles from Devinah. I need a moment So here is Kazookles from Devinah. I'm kind of just going to take what I used just then, pressing it down as my swatch. Goodness gracious. So this is a really, really beautiful purple. It has almost like a little bit of a gray shift, but also a gold shift at the same time. And it's literally everywhere, but it is the most beautiful shade. I love this formula. It's from their Willy Wonka Exploders collection. Like, look at that. It is such a beautiful duochrome, and it's soft and glittery, and I normally prefer that formula with a glitter glue. I feel like it helps it out a little bit, but it's a beautiful, 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 beautiful light purple shade. And if I had condensed this palette down to like, I don't know, like 9 shades, Kazookles would have made it for sure. Like, that is one of my all-time faves, even though it's just chilling in the little corner over here now. Okay, so next, also from Devinah, is one of my very few matte shades that made it into this palette, and it's the shade Remi, which is a really, really beautiful kind of cool tone, just a little bit blue purple, and I really, really love this shade. I feel like it's super soft and easy to work with and easy to blend, but also so vibrant and just a really, really nice purple. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I feel like Devinah has the best selection of really unique matte shades, so this one definitely counts for that. Alright, so now let's go ahead and do my row of purple and blue duochromes. I'm going to start off with Charmed from Devinah. Here's what it looks like. So hopefully you can kind of see the duochrome. It has a very kind of pinky purple base to it, and then a soft blue shift. Devinah, their regular shimmers is not my absolute favorite formula. I do like it, but I prefer something a little bit more intense and textured. So I do really like this shade. It's probably not my absolute favorite, but if you are someone who likes more of a satin type of shade for your lid, this is a really good option for a purple to blue duochrome. Definitely really pigmented. I feel like every time I see a shade like this in a palette, I'm always so drawn to it, and then I have to remind myself, I'm like, I own so many of those shades, so this is my perfect reminder. Like, even when I saw it in the Carly Bible palette, which I will admit looks really pretty in person, I take back what I said about not liking it. I did think it was pretty in person, but I remember seeing the shade that looked like this and thinking, oh, that's so beautiful, but I know I do not need it. I have it. So next from Looxi is the shade Duperstar, which you can see at some point I dug my nail through. What a surprise. It has that kind of purpley pinky base to it, and then a pretty strong blue shift, and this is a really nice metallic formula. So there is Duperstar. Okay, next also from Looxi is the shade Charmed, which is a like really nice purple base. It's not quite as pink, and then it has a really intense blue shift throughout it. So you can probably tell next to Duperstar, this has even more of a blue shift, so it just depends on what you're going for, because those two are from the same brand. They're pretty much the same formula. Alright, next from Looxi is the shade Hustle. I think the owner of Looxi must really like blue-purple duochromes. This one is extra cool because it has more of like a burgundy base to it, and then it has that purple and blue shift going throughout it. It's almost like it's 3 colors. This is one of their newer shades, and it is super, super soft. I really like the improved formula. It's crazy that these are like $2.50 each. A steal. Like, look at that. And last for this row is the shade Kathleen from Amy Hearts Beauty. I feel like I don't know if I've ever talked about this on camera, but I remember ordering this and loving it so, so much. It's one of my favorite singles that Amy Hearts Beauty has because it is such an intense, creamy formula and super metallic. And again, it kind of has almost like a little bit of a burgundy background to it, and then a purple and blue shift going through. I was really impressed with this shade. Again, it's a little bit of a thicker formula, but the metallicness of it is really, really nice. Like, look at that. Okay, so next is a shade from Emme Cosmetics, and I think that this is Urban Fairy. The little back came off when I depotted this because I accidentally bought it in a quad where they weren't able to come out, and I didn't want that because I love to move my single shadows. I was a mess when I ordered it, so I had to depot it, and the name came off, but I'm pretty sure it's Urban Fairy. I'll make sure to leave it down below. If you're not familiar with Emme Cosmetics, they're such a amazing indie brand based out of Canada, and I love their metallic formula. I love their matte formula. I go so hard for them. I'm so excited for them to release more, and they're one of my favorite indie brands, honestly, and I think their formulas are so good, so I'm excited to get to share. I actually have two different purples to mention from them today. I have another matte that's kind of like a purpley pink called Lily, which is one of my all-time favorite matte shadows, but I felt like it was a little bit too pink to include with this palette. But if you are looking for recommendations, I really love the shade Lily. So this color is like a really beautiful light lavender with a gold shift to it. I think that it's definitely a little bit lighter than the shade Plum from JD Glow, but it's kind of the same idea. And it's just a really intense metallic formula. So there is Urban Fairy, I think. If not, I'm going to correct myself on screen just so I don't have it wrong. Oh gosh. Okay, so the other shade that I have from Emme Cosmetics, like it's part of the sticker is on the back, but then the rest is not. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and look it up because I can't remember what this purple was called right now, but I know I have it on my Instagram somewhere. Oh, okay, so the last shade was Urban Fairy, and this one is called Wildflower. So this is just a very true purple. I mean, I feel like you can see, like, as I turned it, like, the shift, and, like, when it hits the light is just so good. Like, look at that. Alright, so another matte shade that I love from Devinah is the shade Aria, and this is a really beautiful mid-tone purple with kind of a pink undertone to it. Again, a super soft pigmented formula that I find really easy to work with. Oh. Can I drop anything else? Okay, so next I have the shade Calx from Clionadh Cosmetics, another really amazing Canadian indie brand that's gotten a lot of hype recently. This is one of their older shadows, but it's a really cool. It has like almost a true like blue base to it, but then it shifts like purple and gray, and it's such an interesting duochrome. But because I feel like you can definitely see the purple when you use this, I wanted to include it here and mention it. It's just such a cool color. I'm not super crazy about the Clionadh matte formula, but I do really love their shimmers, and I feel like they have a really beautiful, just the way that they catch the light. Like this shade is just so cool. And I guess it does show up pretty blue on my arm, but you can definitely, like in person, like I can really see the purple shift running throughout it as I move my arm. So you'll just have to trust me on that one. All right, so next from Colored Raine is the shade Purp Smurf, which is a super bright purple. When I first got their vivid pigments, I wasn't a huge fan when I was trying to use them all together, but I find that if I use just one in conjunction with regular shadows, they work a lot better for me, and I really do love this color. It's just such a bright purple. It's always bittersweet every time I talk about their vivid pigments because they are no longer available as singles. You can only buy them in a palette, which is so frustrating and annoying. I could rant about it, but I figured I'd still mention it because it's one of my favorite purples, and who knows, someone out there might have this sitting in the back of their collection collecting dust, and this is your reminder to pull it back out and use it. So I thought I'd still throw it in here because it is just such a good, rich purple. Plus, I feel like if I had a dupe for this, I would talk about that instead, like something that was readily available as a single, but I just don't have anything else that's so bright and pigmented and bold. Like, look at that. All right, next from Lethal Cosmetics, which is a really cool German indie brand, is the shade Descent, and this actually reminds me a lot of Wildflower from Emme Cosmetics, just looking in the pan, so I'm curious to kind of swatch them near each other. I think I'm going to go ahead and swatch it right here just because I'm trying to make sure I can swatch the last 4 shades on my arm and it all works out. So this is the shade Descent. I really do like the Lethal Cosmetics metallics. I feel like they're super soft easy to use. You can use them with a brush, you can use them with your finger. They're all around really nice shades, and they catch the light really beautifully. So there is Descent. Alright, next also from Lethal Cosmetics is the shade Release, and this is a really beautiful muted purple. It's such a nice transition color, and I feel like this is one of those purples that it's like the next step from neutral. I feel like you could use this color and make it very, very wearable and soft. I do really like it. I also really like the Lethal matte formula. I feel like super easy to blend and work with and super creamy. So I've been all around really, really impressed with Lethal shadows. So there is Release. Okay, next from Menagerie Cosmetics is the shade Starling, and this is one of their single shadows that was never in a palette. They actually take all of their palette shadows and turn them into single shadows. You can buy them all individually. Normally it's a few weeks after the pre-orders have shipped, so I really appreciate that they do that. I think it's a great way to efficiently add single shadows to your collection instead of a palette full of shadows. You might not use every single one of them, although I'm such a sucker for palettes, but I know other people appreciate it, so I appreciate it for them. And this shade was just released as a single alone. It's never been in a palette, is what I'm trying to say basically, but it's a really, really beautiful kind of pinky purple with a golden shift to it, and I really like it. It's what I have on my lower lash line right here today. I think it's such a beautiful shade. I really like the Menagerie formula. I will say that sometimes their metallics make my eyes water a little bit, and I did feel that with this shade, which is unfortunate. So it's uncomfortable for just a moment, but I mean, look at that. Like, look at that shade. It is so beautiful. Like, beauty is pain, right? And the gold shift is just stunning. I know you can't see it on camera at all, but I promise it is there, and it is a beautiful, 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 beautiful metallic shadow. Okay, last but not least is the shade Unity from Lethal Cosmetics, and this is a really beautiful deep purple. It has, again, a little bit more of a muted tone to it, but it is a really, really nice deepening shade. Super creamy, super blendable. It's what I have on my outer V today. I only have 2 matte shades on like my upper eye area. I had something else on the bottom. So I feel like it blends super easy into just use one light purple and then one deep purple and still be able to get a really nice gradient. I really like it. I like it a lot. Like I said, I'm a fan of the Lethal Cosmetics formula, and I think that this is a really, really beautiful kind of eggplanty shade, which I'm a sucker for. Like, I love these kind of colors. Like, look at that. Like, so beautiful. Is anyone else like a weirdo about eggplants? Like eggplant, not eggplants. Oh gosh, that's a that's a conversation I'm not gonna be having today. I love eggplant eyeshadows so much. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, why I'm so drawn to them, but every time I see an eggplant, I die a little bit. Like, I love the eggplant that's in the Linda Hallberry Spectrum or Spectral palette. I can't remember. Really, really love the formula of this one. It's definitely a win, and honestly, all of these shadows look so beautiful. I love purples. Alright, so that is everything for today's video with all my favorite purple single shadows. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do like the look that I'm wearing right now, I filmed a little Instagram tutorial, but I'm like the worst at putting them up and editing them in time. I still haven't edited the Instagram tutorial from my last single shadow on my Devinah collection, which was like a month and a half ago, so I still have the footage somewhere, hopefully. Maybe I'll edit that and get this up, and no promises, but hopefully it's coming soon. I did, if it's not, I took some Instagram pictures of like up close to my eyes so I can leave what exact shades I used. I also did want to mention really quickly that I went ahead and used the JJ Cosmetics Lavender Legacy highlighter. If you're not familiar with JJ Cosmetics, they are a new indie brand. I think that they launched at the beginning of this year. I've been wanting to try them so bad, and I finally made an order to try them for like my brand to try for the month of September. So I grabbed a few different highlighter shades, but I thought I would go ahead and use this one today for the look. There's Lavender Legacy. It is a really beautiful light purple. It's what I'm wearing right now. Obviously, that's why I'm mentioning it. It's kind of a cool tone purple. highlighter without being too much. It doesn't look super ashy or gray. I mean, it is on the purple spectrum, so it's not like the most natural highlight to ever grace my skin, but it is a really beautiful blending formula. I used a super natural highlight brush. I didn't even have to build it up, and it looked super intense, so I'm excited to try the other shades too, but I just thought I would mention them in case you have not heard of them because they're really cool. Here's a little swatch. There's Lavender Legacy. They have a bunch of different shades for different skin tones, and the owner seems to put a lot of heart into everything she does. So I just wanted to shout them out real quick. Alright, so that's everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.